Okay, 6 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting of the Charter Township of Bedford Planning Commission to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. Roll call when you're ready.
Chairman Stein.
Here.
Trustee McKay.
Here.
Commissioner Artis. Here. Commissioner Billitson.
Here.
Commissioner Tuggle. Here. Commissioner Jones. Here. Commissioner Brown. Here. 7 present. Quorum has been established.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next item is the approval of our April 28th, 2026 agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Shirley and then Barb. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Billitson.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Artis.
Yes. Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
Commissioner Tuggle.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown. Yes. Chairman Stein.
Yes.
7 yes. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is approval of our March 24th, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Second. Any discussion on those minutes? A little bit longer than normal.
Well done. Yeah, well done. That was a lot of work.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
They were a lot of work, weren't they?
They were.
Seeing no discussion, roll call on that, please.
Commissioner Tuggle.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown. Yes. Chairman Stein.
Yes.
Commissioner Billitson.
yes.
Commissioner Artis.
Yes.
Trustee McKay.
Yes.
7 yes. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Next item on the agenda is our liaison report from Trustee McKay.
The board is, thanks to a certain citizen, who shall remain nameless, discovering that we need to update our ordinances. Many of them are way out of date. And so that process has started. And I think Cody's helping spearhead that along with some others. And of course, some of those ordinances may indirectly affect some of the things we do here.
Sure.
We'll keep you apprised what's going on.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
We appreciate that. And if there is any overlap, I'm sure we can all work together
Yep.
and figure it out. So, yeah, so the board, I guess, just to clarify what Trustee McKay was talking about. So there's a difference between the police powers ordinances, which is board only, and then zoning ordinance, which is our forte. Sometimes there's a brief overlap in a few things like, noise and things like that, but shouldn't be too bad for the board anyway.
Right.
The important thing is that we don't have anything to do there, guys.
You like that.
Right. Next item on the agenda is our zoning report from our zoning administrator, Cody McCarty.
Yeah, like Trustee McKay said, I've combed through I have over the years as well, combed through a lot of the ordinance, and I've always taken notes on what's outdated. I mean, like for instance, noxious weeds, I think that was last updated in '94. I'm sure there's new invasive species since then we should keep an eye out for.
Sure.
Just lots of little things that need updating, modernized, some things that need complete overhauls. So I made a list of all those with some slight notes, sent those to some of the board members. I think that was shared around with the rest of them. I've been working pretty heavily on the Station 1 project. The research side of things, they're still up in the air on who owns the top. They decided to hold off on funding the demolition of that. They don't feel comfortable on funding that part until they know who owns it. They're more than willing to fund it if they have an owner that says, yeah, this is okay. We found meeting minutes from Hamza from 1988 that said it was going to get a quick claim deed to them. No one can find any evidence that it actually happened. But at this point, from everything I can find, from everything Calhoun County Central Dispatch can find, it's ours. We're writing a memo right now. Calhoun County Central Dispatch is writing a memo right now, and they're basically gonna use that to prove ownership. As I pointed out, and Calhoun County Land Bank agrees with me, when we had that parcel last year and surveyed, any of the thing like that would have been caught in the title search and nothing was brought up.
Was there.
And I thought that would be enough, but apparently it wasn't. And then, yeah, last week I attended the MTA conference. I went to a couple sessions about data centers as well as some about PA 233. That was pretty informative. One of the ones on data centers, but specifically focused on how to, do moratoriums and things like that. And yeah, that's about one of them. So he could probably share slides if we asked him nicely.
There you go. Just sounds like we got the right man for the job over there. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next item on the agenda is going to be public comment time. This is 3 minutes on agenda items only. There's some fresh faces in here tonight. The rules are posted out there. There's a public comment time at the end that can be on any topic that you like, but at this time it's on agenda items only. And we'll open that up at 6:06. Yep. Could you slide that podium over there, Tony? Thank you.
You might need to turn the microphone on too. Thank you.
Yep, you just want to go ahead and step up to the podium there and state your name for the record, if you would, please. And
Hi, my name's Brian Weatherly. I own DC Auto Service down here. And I'm not sure why things have been going the way they have. But I don't have a problem with any of you people. You guys are human beings, the same as me. Everybody in this room, and I would hope that you would respect that feeling. Everybody here, and you need to look at our rights and what you're doing to this community. That's all I have to say. Sorry, Bruce.
Thank you, brother.
all right. Any other comment? All right. Seeing none, we will close that at 6:08. Okay, next item on the agenda is discussion of old business, update on our pending SLU applications and deadlines for postings. So we have 3 out right now, Cody, correct?
Special land use.
Yes, and then 1 rezone. Let's start with, I guess, the one that we have already kind of mentioned that we were on the clock on a 90-day clock, the telecommunications wireless. Were you able to get a hold of them?
I was, yep.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be any issue with that being held on, the special meeting day.
Okay.
So we'll have that notice. I'll have that out this coming Monday.
Okay.
By noon, the notice
Alright.
for that.
Okay.
So any of them that would be held on that special meeting day will have to be notified.
Correct.
And that date is,
So it's our next regularly, it's not actually a special meeting, it's our
Oh,
regular,
sorry.
yeah,
Just
it's our
special
regular
date.
scheduled meeting on the 19th.
okay,
So they have submitted a very pretty full application. We had left that with getting with our partners at McKenna because some of that stuff was certainly beyond the planning commission's realm of, experiences. I did make contact with them and they do have a professional services contract with us. And they quoted a very reasonable rate, not to exceed, an hours contract. So we will, now that we have made contact with the applicant and they are good with, and ready for the, public hearing on the 19th, we will send all that over to them, tomorrow. And they've indicated that they'd be able to get their reports to us, which is, what we'll use and, you know, our finding of fact and whatnot on that.
Okay, we might not have,
Yep.
the record is the 18th on there.
No, does it say the 18th? Okay. Well,
Just
all right. So we'll make the adjustment at the end of the meeting there. So Seth, is that, if we get that, the information over for the notice to you tomorrow, is that enough time for you to get that for us on Monday?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. And so that's one of the 3 special land use that we have out.
Are those all gonna be on the same meeting, or is that a little different?
I think they're gonna be different, at this point. Cody, on the application for the River Road one, did they come in and?
Yeah, not yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
He wasn't sure if he'd be able to make it today, but he's more than willing to come and add that,
Is he? Okay.
third.
I did not get a chance to take a look to make sure that we have everything there.
I believe we do, like I said, it's not the most complete
Okay,
operations plan I've seen, but I mean, it explains everything they do in their hours of operation.
okay. Would he have a problem waiting until the June meeting, do you think?
I can check with him.
Okay, all right, let's check with him tomorrow, and then Seth, would it be a problem if we did to?
No, just as long as I get the application information.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be more cost effective to do two, so you're not
Mhm.
publishing several times.
Okay. So yeah, if he can get the correct application to us with the information that Seth will need for the notice.
Yep.
Then I think we probably could proceed with that one as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think he'll be in tomorrow to do that.
Really? Okay. But I mean, if he's gonna drag his feet on that, then he'll have to wait till June. And then the other one we have out is the gas station.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, we only have a site plan from them.
Yep, we have
right?
the site plan, the
Okay.
landscape plan, part of that.
Okay,
No traffic study, I think is the big thing missing.
okay.
I'm starting to look over it today.
Okay.
Again,
So I would think until we have the traffic study, I would think that that's probably a little bit incomplete. So we would wanna, communicate to them, pending that site plan being pretty put together, and it sounds like that is. If we have the traffic study from them, from MDOT for that side of the intersection.
Yeah.
Then we could possibly look at maybe scheduling that at the June meeting.
Okay.
And then, the rezone, we also have, that application needed to be updated with the owner's information on there.
he now owns it.
Okay,
Yep, he is now the owner.
okay. He was waiting on information to fill the application out once he was the owner, correct?
So yeah, the last time he just wasn't the owner when he put that in.
Okay.
It was going through at the end of the month.
All right.
He is now the official owner.
Okay, so I would think he would need to get a correct application with his name and the parcel number that we can pull, for the notice. And I would think that we would maybe do that one in June as well.
Okay.
Busy.
Yep, yes, it did. Is there anything else, Cody, that the planning commission needs to be aware of those things?
Casey's. I've heard it's canceled, I've heard it's back, I've heard it's canceled, I've heard it's back. Last time I talked to the property owner, it was back. I'm not gonna hold my breath for it. I think at this point, it's probably been long enough, we should revisit it. I don't think much has changed outside of that one little stretch where they're, we
The
require
landscaping?
them to plant the trees.
Okay,
But we should just double check with them, make sure nothing has changed.
okay. So Seth, I have a question. So that's been through the process. It's been public hearing. We did that. We attached the conditions. I believe did they send us the landscape plan back with the,
The little tree.
If I remember, I did.
okay.
I'll have to double check through that.
We don't know if we've seen that part, so I can't say that all 3 of the conditions we attached, were met. It's been to the board, with the recommendation, the way it stands, it got approval, but it's been over a year with no activity. Now, the zoning ordinance says that, you have 1 year to do something with the special land permit once you've had,
Do you know why, what's going on with that, or?
So I do know in October, they applied for they essentially have to get a variance on the well. With the way the septic and how big it needs to be in its position, and then where the gas tanks are, they needed to basically move well, like 5 foot closer to the septic or the fuel tanks, underground fuel tanks, so they were working with the county.
That, I was gonna say, that goes to the county.
Yep, to get a variance on that. And the county's just been kicking their feet on that. When I last talked to the property owner about that specific issue in, I want to say it was February, he had even called the county to confirm. They were like, yeah, we have that here. I mean, I don't know what's taking the health department so long on that. But the owner of the Casey's aren't willing to fully sign and pay for the property until they know 100% that they can do what they want to do. So they keep asking for extensions on the agreement they have, but without offering up more money. And then the property owner gets mad and cancels, or when the contract comes up, he doesn't let them renew it. They're not offering more money to him. And it's been back and forth that way.
Isn't there a big for sale sign there?
Yeah.
So last time I talked to him and he said it was canceled, he, reconfirmed what the zoning is and everything, because he was gonna get that sign made. He got that sign made the same day it got put up. He told me it's back on. So, like I said, I'm not holding my breath for it. It's gone back and forth so many times. I'll believe it when Casey's is sitting back up here in front of you guys.
So I guess my question, for the attorney is that it has been over a year. Does Cody just need to tell them, it's been over a year, you're gonna have to come back?
Yeah, so I'm in section 1304 of your zoning ordinance. It
Yep.
looks like page 167 of the zoning ordinance itself. It says expiration of special land use approval. If construction has not commenced, or if the project has commenced but has not made reasonable progress within 12 months after final approval, the approval becomes null and void, and a new application for special land use approval shall be required. However, the applicant may apply in writing to the planning commission, or in this case, maybe the township board, because they have the, just how, you know, your ordinance is structured, like special
Currently.
land uses, so I need to look at that maybe. But this ordinance does, this ordinance says the applicant may apply in writing to the PC for an extension of special land use approval. The PC may grant one or more extensions up to a total of 12 months upon request from the applicant, provided that it finds that the approved special land use plan concurs. Okay, so like you do have an option to extend it.
Okay,
When did the board approve this again?
so that came through here in March? March of last year. They had to get some documents to us. I'm relatively confident that they got those documents to us, Cody.
Yeah.
And then it went to, I can't remember when it went to the board with our recommendation.
It's like presumably like April or May.
Yeah, sometime in that time frame.
So it looks like they're coming up on a year. This says going to the PC for the extension, so I think you have to follow what your ordinance says.
Okay,
You know, and Jeannie could provide an update as he's the liaison to the board of what's going on. But they would have to come here and talk to you about what their situation is. Then you can
okay.
figure out how to handle it.
That'll be the first time that we've done that ever.
Right.
What would your recommendation be on communication? I mean, that communication will come through Cody, obviously.
Yeah, I think.
Just a
put it in letter.
simple letter?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, you need to know when the,
What the
to make
Okay.
sure that you're at that 12
Yep.
month mark, so that if it got approved in May or something, then we're not quite there yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, Cody. So we'll pull, I'm pretty sure it was March.
Yep, I'm looking for it right now.
To be honest with you.
I'm looking at the board minutes
Okay.
to look for when I went through the board, because that's the ultimate date, right?
Uh,
From the board, not from the PC.
I mean, the ordinance reads from approval, yes, and I mean, technically the board has the approval if we make a recommendation of approval. So yes, I would say it's 12 months from when, at this time, I would say it's 12 months from when the board made their approval based on our recommendation.
I would agree.
Okay. So if we're not there yet, we gotta be getting close.
Yeah, definitely.
And it may have been even a little bit later than that. We may have made them wait until they had resubmitted the site plan and the traffic study so that the board had that for their reference. So Cody, we will hammer that out, and then even if there's a couple of months left to go, Seth, I mean, I would think a letter indicating how we're gonna proceed is probably appropriate. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I mean, they need to come to you and do something.
One way or another,
Right, if they
Okay.
do nothing, then I think they're risking.
having to start over.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the key thing there is I would like the applicant to know that that is what we are expecting, because we have not traditionally done that, obviously. So I don't want to blindside the applicant any more than anybody else, so. Okay, all right, so Cody, we'll add that to our list.
Yep. Yeah, I was hoping I could find it right now.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on any SLU or anything like that?
I think that's it for right now. I did have a company reach out to me last week, while I was at MTA, asking the process to potentially put, gas pumps in at the Bedford market in the village. So I sent them all the relevant information, sections of the ordinance yesterday, and I haven't heard back.
Okay.
Yes.
We're just getting gas stations everywhere currently.
Yes, the village, where at?
Bedford market.
Oh, the Bedford Market.
Oh,
Okay.
Right. That's an interesting one.
So I don't know
Okay.
if it'll go through. It wasn't from the owners of Bedford Market. I'm thinking of the company that's trying to convince Bedford Market, like, oh, hey, we can, add the gas.
Partner up with us with the store type deal. Okay. They'd be pretty tight on setbacks there, wouldn't they?
That property is technically bigger than the one down here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're like 0.59 over there, and we only require half acre.
Okay.
did I add an electric charger thing pump too? Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever they call it.
Right.
Charging station.
Charging
Yeah.
station, yeah, that's it.
So we'll keep you guys updated if anything else ever comes from that. If they ever turn an actual application. I think right now they're just doing their preliminary research on it, but they're not the first company I've had ask about certain properties between the Sicko by Bedford Hills and Goldsworthy's out in Dowling. I mean,
No, I mean, that's,
nothing.
yeah, sure. I mean, okay. All right, wonderful. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next item under discussion of our old business is update on our planner attorney review of our text amendments and deadlines for the postings. Likewise, I sent everything over to McKenna, all the lists that we had finalized at our last meeting. They did get back with me. Again, we do have that personal services contract, and the board was gracious enough to, increase our professional services budget this year, knowing that we were going to be doing this process with the text amendments. And they came back with a very reasonable number to help us format and do the changes. And it was, very open-ended in the sense that, if we add a few things as we're going, if they come up, oh, we forgot to add that to the list or whatever, it's not going to be a nickel and dime charge situation. So I've sent everything over to him. Seth also got everything that they're going to need to do. So we're kind of just in the beginning process of that. I would assume Kyle had indicated that the lists were very thorough, and it was really probably not necessary that we have another meeting with them before the public hearing, unless we wanted to discuss some of those things that we wanted clarification on. There were several items that we, wanted, clarification on, just on the state law stuff or whatever. And then the draft language that we'll be creating for the indoor gun range. So I don't know. Yes.
So we did an indoor gun range ordinance for Emmett that was adopted last year.
Okay.
So I'm gonna send that.
Okay.
To you, to Cody, and I think, Gene, I've heard you speak on this before too, so
Mhm.
I'll copy you on that just so you'll take a look at that and we'll see what McKenna comes back with.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, that he, was like, do you need us to give you 2 or 3 options, or do you have a couple of options? So we probably can use, for reference, what Seth is sending over, and then just have them maybe pull 1 or 2, and then, I think we can probably get all that information around to where if we wanted to discuss that, not in a public hearing format, but just discuss that, the proposed draft language, that we might be able to do that at the meeting on the 19th. Seth, do you think that's enough time for you to conclude your review on Articles 13 and 14?
Yeah, I mean, I was going
with your
through
with your
it just
recommendations.
now. I mean, I could talk to you a lot about that if you want.
Today?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I think
okay.
I have some comments on it.
All
I
right,
mean,
that's excellent. And then we would probably have, I would think, a draft to look at that meeting, with all the track changes. And then, I think the goal would be to post that for a public hearing at the June meeting. Does that seem doable on your end, Seth?
I think so. When is your June meeting again? It's the 4th.
So that's gonna be the fourth Tuesday, yeah. We're only doing next month early because of the holiday.
So in June, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Here's-
The 23rd.
There's a good chance I'm gonna be out of town that week.
Okay.
I don't know if that matters or not.
So McKenna did say that they would be here for the public hearing, which, you know, they were here for lots of meetings and the public hearing when we redid the zoning ordinance. So I mean, we generally, treat the planner just like we do the attorney. And if we have a question, we ask, you know, as far as that goes.
I think I can definitely do the notice and then-
Okay, so I guess that would be my biggest concern is that I want you to have enough time to do the notice because it's going to be lengthy,
Yes.
and we want to make sure that we have everything in there. So I don't foresee that being a huge problem, especially if we can get the draft language for the May meeting, and discuss that. Do you have any conflict at that May 19th meeting, Seth?
No, I have your planning commission as a standing meeting.
As a standing meeting? Okay.
Yeah, it should be.
So I would think that, you know, if the attorney can be there for that and we can have, you know, our draft track changes to look at, that would be fine. Unless there are objections from the team. Okay. All right. Seth, I did have a couple of questions, that we just needed to button up. There was, that hanging out there of, do we need to notice for the typos? Did you get a chance to?
Yeah, look, it's, we may need to do that.
Okay.
I don't like that because it seems a bit silly because it's really non-substantive and these things happen, especially with these zoning ordinances.
Sure.
So let's, again, if I could, last time we were here was looking at the case line. Yeah, I think it was pretty clear, but
Okay.
if there's a way, you know, that we don't have to do that and I can find it, then let's try to avoid that if it's, as long as
Okay.
it's lawful.
Okay. What will you need from us on our end for the notice itself?
I just need the list of amendments
Okay.
and that will be,
Okay. And what format do you need that in? Obviously, Word document.
Yeah,
And
Word
then
document.
I would assume like page, like, or how would you
Yeah.
like us to submit that to you?
how what?
How would you like us to
Yeah,
submit that?
Microsoft Word, and then if you could just reference which page it's on. 'Cause
Okay.
Your zoning is a couple hundred pages,
Yes.
so I could at least look and, you know, confirm that.
Okay. And then do we need to list what it is and then what the change is, or just page, section, and then what the change is gonna be? I guess we've not done a text amendment notice, so I guess, just for information for the room, when you notice, do you notice like just only the change?
You have to notice what you're changing.
Right, no, but like you said, so, you know, I'm changing the word, you know, the to whatever, so you would put that in the notice, but you wouldn't list what we're
Well,
actually
in
changing.
the notice of public, no.
Yeah, correct.
In the notice, if it's grammar errors, I would just say that, you know, you know, correct, you know, multiple grammatical errors, something like that.
And then list those pages.
In the notice,
Yeah,
probably not.
okay. All right. Well, we'll get together and we'll figure out the notice.
And so we're doing a whole newspaper worth of.
Yeah.
Right.
Changes.
Right. That's my concern. I just want to make sure we get, if we have to notice them all, then I want to make sure that we get them to him in a way that catch all of them.
And do we have to do like each individual one? Like there's multiple times where, we're changing county,
Or even,
whatever from road department, like, do we have, or can we just like blanket statement? Or like the fire marshal, the
Oh,
fire
yeah.
chief?
Yeah.
Like, can we,
In the actual ordinance, on the amendment for the ordinance, or?
there's multiple instances throughout the zoning ordinance that say fire marshal, but it's being changed to fire chief, because that's what's relevant here.
So I would think that you would list it on.
You
You would-
can't have 100 sections that says, section one amendments and, whatever section to change from fire chief to fire marshal. Like, we have to be able to frame that as a way that says, throughout the zoning orders to replace the word fire, chief instead of fire marshal. That's gonna have to be good enough. I'll confirm everything, but I believe we've done that
Okay.
before.
All right.
Yes.
yeah,
That kind of answers your question, yeah, Cody.
Yeah.
And it answers mine too, actually. Seth, did you want to share any comments that you had on that section 13 and 14?
Yeah, so for section 13, that's gonna be site plan review. I think you need to first figure out is who's gonna have special land use authorities for approval, or, for review. Okay, the way your former ordinance was, it was planning commission recommendation to the board. And I believe that was discussed when you were looking at this new zoning ordinance of what to do with it. And how your existing zoning ordinance now says is it's gonna be, still that process going to, the township board. You make a recommendation. So Gene, that might be something you could discuss at the board level. That way, I mean, that's the purpose, to have that continuity, because like ultimately the board's gonna decide whether or not to, approve an ordinance. So if the board decides it wants to retain that authority, at least we know, or if the board says no, PC can do it, at least we know that too. Because here for site plan review.
So for site plan, Seth, we have the authority.
Yeah, that's how this is structured. You have to have that authority. So
It's
time for PC has final approval on everything. You start with special land use review.
Mhm.
And if that doesn't get approved, like, you just don't go to site plan. There's no reason to do it. So essentially, if the board has the authority to approve a special land use, any site plan approval is going to be probably conditioned upon board approval from special land use.
They don't get very many of those, do we?
What?
Special land use.
Well, it's beyond special land use too. Essentially, any commercial operation would
Yeah.
need site plan review, even if it was permitted.
Yeah.
So it could be,
So, I mean, generally, how this has worked in the past is that if we have a special land use app that comes with a site plan, and we've always done the review on both of those and then sent the recommendation to the board. With the new zoning ordinance, we took the site plan review and we have the planning commission has full authority on that, and then we make a recommendation on the special land use application to the board. And I think that doesn't make sense, that if you have control of one, you should theoretically have control of the other, because the special land use application is gonna have a site plan. So if you're gonna approve the one, you should be approving the other, because as you guys remember, when we did our finding of fact for solar, a lot of the reference to the standards was to the site plan itself. And I think that's what the thinking was with McKenna when we were talking about it, is that your application is gonna have a site plan. What Seth is saying is that, in these bigger commercial applications, even a permitted use, theoretically, the site plan review would come over here. Traditionally, Mark Hires is our building official has taken care of that for us. So technically, there could be a little bit more work if we keep it the way it is. I don't anticipate that. But the board has never actually had to review a site plan, because it's always been here, and then we just recommend, and then the board would, make their findings based on what our recommendation is. So I mean, we've talked about it at great length. I definitely think that if I think it should stay at the PC level. I mean, that's what we do. It's where our area of expertise is. You know, we have all the, you know, professional services and everything else, and we conduct a public hearing. And correct me if I'm wrong, Gene, you've kind of mentioned this to them before anyway, that we were thinking about doing it. So,
It's been mentioned several months ago.
not to put the horse before the cart, but I mean, we've kind of discussed this and I've already kind of decided that I think that's what we want to do.
Yeah, I think that was discussed.
Yeah.
I think that is what the draft language will reflect, and if the board has another idea, they're obviously free to reject I don't think that will happen.
The only times like I potentially see there being an issue is if the planning commission recommends one way and the board does something different.
Correct.
Because you have to make findings at the PC level, and then the board does that too, and it doesn't really matter which way, it's an approval or denial at the board level.
Right.
But you just have sort of conflicting,
Mhm.
you know, opinions, and that, you know, that's fine too, yeah, I think that's fine, but then if there's a, you know, appeal process, which there is, sometimes you're gonna be left explaining, you know, why we do what we do, or find how we got it. You know, that might not happen with a lot of applications, but it recently happened with, renewable energy project. And
Sure.
I don't know how that's gonna go, you know, so like what's gonna come of that?
Okay, so I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we're gonna go ahead and send that with that change. As far as that goes, did you have any other? I mean, typically that's what you see though, Seth.
Yeah.
I mean, if
Oh, you mean like,
you either have a recommendation for both, or you have the approval for both.
see a little bit of
Do
everything.
you? Okay, I mean,
Yeah, so, and it's different from nearby townships in Kalamazoo County and townships within Kalamazoo County. It's a little bit of everything.
is it?
So it's more about whatever, policy decisions of the township, how you want to proceed with it.
I just think from a practicality standpoint, you know, having been through a couple of large site reviews now, I mean, I would not want to do that if I was the board. But I mean, that's
Well, we gotta keep them in the loop, but.
correct,
Yes.
correct. Yes.
Yes.
Did you want to take that back to them, Gene, or I mean,
I will put it in my report as
Okay.
well as mention it
okay,
at the next meeting.
all right. Any other comments on those articles there, Seth?
No, on section 14, again, when I looked at it, you know, earlier today, I think this is typical of with what I see here. You know, site plan is the law for that property, so a lot of times when we go through that review process, like it should work, Cody would believe you review it for, you know, zones and approval. And you may or may not require like engineer drawings after the time. Do you?
I generally ask for like, you're gonna submit everything. Now, if it trickles in, that's fine, but it's not getting pushed this way until everything.
Right, so then he gets, so once he signs off on zoning approval, then it would go. And.
I've not doing.
Right, so then it would go to the planning commission, and if it gets approved, then they can get a building permit. So I don't really see, you know, an issue with that. If Joint Enabling Act, it says all the standards for site plan review are satisfied, then the site plan shall be approved. So a lot of times on Cody's end, it's just checking the box. If did you do it? You submit what you have to do. And if the answer is yes, then you know, it would get approved here, you know, unless there's a special use requirement. But that's, I know, those are, my comments, like your modifications, you know, I think are fine. The one thing, if anything, to discuss is a lot of times, there might be minor site plan amendments that you're comfortable with the zoning administrator just doing on their own instead of having to come here every time.
Mhm.
I could see maybe in here, there being for what that means.
So yeah, we definitely had some concerns, I think, in 3 or 4 places about the vagueness of that and who's,
Yeah, like.
what we're gonna waive and what we're not gonna waive, and
Yeah, so like it says, zoning administrator may determine that the requested revisions are substantial enough that a new site plan approval process, as described in this ordinance, is required. So, you know, to that, it's, you know, you're leaving up to interpretation of whoever you're zoning administrator, right? And, you know, typically what I see is, like, if you're moving like landscaping, parking, things like that, okay, I think that's probably a minor site plan, depending on the use. Maybe not for solar, but that's.
Sure, sure.
But if you're moving buildings, like things like that, that's where it's a bigger modification that would come in front of the PC. So, you know, we could look at maybe some draft language to see
Okay.
how you, and that a little bit, I think that kind of protects everybody.
I mean, that is what the intent is there. Cody does a great job for us, but he was, or is zoning administrator number 4 for me. So I have some experience with, all sides of the coin, as they say. You know, I would think that anytime, especially like if they're adding to the use, even, you know, I consider that needing to come back to the PC, especially under any special land use act that's already out there.
Yeah, and the problem that we see is there's an amendment, a modification request that comes in. Zoning administrator just, you know, does it. Maybe you probably might not know about it.
Correct.
And then that's the law for the property, and now you got an applicant that's relying on that, and whether or not you like it, that site plan is gonna dictate.
Yes, so, and that is, I guess, what caused the, I guess, question to you.
Yeah.
You know, is there any way we can look at, you know, putting in, I guess, not that, you know, the decision can't be made at that level, but some form of, you know, information between our zoning administrator and the PC, chair at the least, going, okay, so I have this, you know, what do you guys consider this, you know, a minor site amendment or not? Yes, we do. No, we don't. And then he or she can just, you know, do whatever needs to be done there. I think would be a good enough compromise in that situation. I don't know if that puts us in a place where, you know, you've got to have like a public hearing on something like
I
that.
think you would just do it with.
You would just do it? Okay.
Yeah. And look, try to get as many amendments as you can in June. It's already gonna be a big
Okay.
notice. I'd rather you just publish one.
Okay.
And save a
All right.
cost and have to go back.
Well, when you and I meet to go over the notice, Seth, let's see if we can't wordsmith that language just a little bit better, so that the PC is at least in the loop anyway. Because I do and have seen the exact situation that you just described, where zoning administrator makes a decision, you know, that, you know, then there's, you know, a problem, and it's already been made and it's done and approved, and you can't go back and undo that, because that is, once that happens, that is lawful for that property.
Right.
So,
So just Article 14.
Yep.
So I think Article 14 is going to work a little bit together with the escrow. Okay, so like you can have an escrow provision
okay,
that requires an applicant to pay escrow. There may always be an escrow, but the amount's gonna vary. Okay, depending on the type of project. But when I'm looking at section 1402 of your zoning ordinance,
Yep.
like the cost, like we don't want the cost of whatever the escrow fee is gonna be in your ordinance, because it's gonna change, you know, from time to time. You don't want to keep amending the ordinance. And section 1402 does capture that in grant A. It says that the board shall have the authority to set all fees for permits applications. They would just do that by resolution. It's something really easy to do, and it's not worth amending your zoning ordinance time and time over again as fees change, because that can happen frequently.
okay.
You know, I did see in there, and I could get you escrow language.
So that is something that, you know, we have talked about, and we did ask you if you thought it would be better to put it in the zoning ordinance or just have the board do it via resolution. You now have made a very compelling argument that you would not put it in there, because then we would have to text amendment the zoning ordinance.
The fee
Yep,
was
the
only
fee.
for.
Yep.
But I would want something in the ordinance that authorizes the escrow and the requirement that they sign something. Like, you don't want to get into a fight over a disagreement over a policy that would be an escrow, like, hey, you gotta pay this, or an ordinance. Okay, like I've run into that problem before with a gravel mine. And they contested saying this isn't an ordinance standard, it's more of a policy. And that issue went to court, and the court said, I'm not enforcing the policy. So I'd
Okay.
rather it be an ordinance that would require them to sign an escrow fee agreement or something like that.
So would an appropriate place to add that be over in maybe section 13? In, the process during, the things that are listed during the application process as a requirement, escrow fee shall be,
Well, so is Article 13, what's the title? Is that special land use or that's?
Processing.
so that's process and procedures, and
Oh,
that's,
process and
that's
procedure.
got all the things that you need to do for a special land use.
Yeah, that could probably work. I'd also look at potentially looking at your conditional rezoning agreement. I get a little nervous when I see that because we can't initiate that. Like, that is something an applicant has to do and we can't negotiate conditions. And,
Okay.
this does talk about how it is voluntary, but let me just take a little bit closer look at that.
Okay, that's fine. And we can, circle back to that when we're getting ready to get the draft language around too, if you need some more time on that.
So then, moving down the indoor gun range, looking at what Emmett did, I took a look at that, before I'm sending it over. They just made that a conditional use or a special land use.
Okay,
So they just specified which zoning district's classification that they wanted in it. And then they, just put the process for special land use standards.
okay.
They may have tied gun sales with it instead of a standalone shooting range. I'd have to check. I don't know if there's any specific laws that would, that's how it has to be.
Okay,
That I don't know. I don't know why there would be, but that's just something to be aware of. Battery energy storage systems. I tried looking through that here just now. I mean, as far as updates go,
I thought you were feeling pretty
yeah,
squared
like,
away
there
on
isn't
that.
really anything new on that, that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And, with these ordinances, especially with like battery or solar, like you could tie a lot up in conditions.
Correct.
Because every ordinance isn't gonna capture everything
Yeah.
that you need, so. And I think even the solar project that went through here, I don't remember for sure, but I think it had close to 20 conditions.
2022.
22, so like you could see how you covered quite a bit. I'd have to look more at the indoor recreational standards, so looking at, 4.33 insurance. Yeah, we can have insurance in there. When we talk about like language to be consistent, it might be difficult depending on the type of use,
Okay,
right? Like there's gonna be different, like a recent renewal project we did, that township required $2 million of insurance coverage per occurrence. Right, and that might be a little different than insurance for something else that's like less impacted. So sometimes I see insurance that is acceptable to the township, but we could work on language for that to see
okay.
what we need. I thought I saw something about performance bond in here too.
Yes,
Yeah.
so that's over in section 14. We've recently attached that as a condition. And we need to kind of change we need to beef that language up. So it's over in section 14, and right now it reads, I was just looking at it. Give me a second and I'll read it.
1404, 14
Or yeah, performance.
performance. 1406, page 181.
So the whole point of a performance bond, this is gonna be different than decommissioning.
Correct, yep.
Okay, decommissioning is after the fact.
Yep.
Performance bond is upfront. What it is like you want to confirm that they're gonna do what they need to do. Okay, like you think about a development project, they say they're gonna do something, they're halfway through and they walk away and about this mess, right? Something like that. You see it a lot with road commissions too, right? Think about when you see like with the solar, I think we had it with battery. Something what they do is they consult with the county road commission and say, like, if you have to post a bond so if there's damage to the roads, we know the money's posted to be able to fix it, like we see it with that. So, if you want to look at a performance of bond requirement, I think maybe we could look at what types of uses, it's really necessary for.
Which, so you're indicating that you would be use specific on that.
Let me just look into it.
Okay,
Okay, because like there's gonna be some uses like, yeah, you need a performance bond, probably maybe even a significant one. There's probably others that maybe you don't.
okay.
Like there'd be a difference between like a development agreement or excuse me, like a commercial development agreement that's a special land use and like a dog kennel. That are special.
Sure, absolutely. I think the intent is that we were just thinking, that we would like to make sure that these projects are, you know, coming online. It is certainly a lot of work for the commission, and Cody. You know, it takes a lot of time, some more so than others. You know, Casey's is a great example. We've been on, we've been off, you know, we had, you know, the public hearing, you know, multiple site plans, multiple printings and everything else. Now, I will say that if we end up with an escrow policy in the zoning ordinance and then the board adopting a different, you know, an updated fee structure, I do think that that will limit some of this horsing around that we're seeing, especially because, you know, I mean, it's not refundable. You know, we're gonna use it, you're gonna get processed. If you don't follow through, that's not on us, that's on you type thing. You know, I'm thinking of, you know, the marijuana too. We've had certainly trouble with that as well.
Are we still looking at like two different types of escrow for special land use?
So yes, I do think that, and Gene, I've just about got what I think the recommendation from myself is gonna be, and Cody will probably agree with me, that could go to the board. We would just need to get the language specified in here, how we need to give the authorization to you guys to do your thing. But we did talk about like a light use and then, you know, heavy use, special land use escrow. Seth, is that still, I mean, I see that in a lot of townships. They have two different types of escrow tiers. You have, you know, heavy use and then light duty use.
Yeah, and that might be driven by use specific, like you'll see like a commercial, like industrial, something like
Okay.
that.
All right.
Yeah, that can vary
Okay.
quite a bit.
Like a data center escrow is gonna be much different than a dog kennel.
Well, right, and I think once we get a data center, you know, ordinance in place too, you know, it's gonna, you're gonna tie it up.
So that is certainly part of the issue. And then the other one that they're two different things. Over in section 1406, that's page 181. I think I heard Barb say that. It's in that same group of highlighted documents that I sent you, Seth.
Okay, yeah.
So that's discussing the performance guarantee. And that's over on page 182, B3. The exact amount of the performance guarantee shall be determined by the zoning administrator. So, you know, we're talking about the escrow, and then so it references the performance guarantee here, and then performance standards in section 13 is what originally we were kind of talking about. So I don't know, those to me are two different things, but one and the same because they're listed in each section. We had talked about the need for the escrow language going into the zoning ordinance, and then the board amending the fee structure. And then we would like to, you know, start exercising the performance guarantee, and we were confused as to, you know, how are we going to get there? Because, you know, the amount of performance guarantee shall be 125% of the estimated cost of the improvements for which the performance guarantee is required. The applicant shall provide an itemized schedule of estimated cost to complete all such improvements. The exact amount of the performance guarantee shall be determined by the zoning administrator. Like when you read that paragraph, you know, it says it's 125%, but then it says you get to provide an estimate, and then it says the zoning administrator will tell you how much it's going to be.
Like what they should give you is like think about, you know, your decommissioning bond, or you get like an engineered
Yep.
review of what they expect the decommissioning bond
Yep.
to be. And then a lot of times, like, we'll confirm that.
Okay,
You know, it'd be the same type of thing, right? But just, the performance bond instead of the commission. And I don't know if you want, like, the zoning administrator shall make that determination. Do you want to be in that position or?
no, that's why I flagged it, because I don't think if we're gonna put that person in that position, then we need to be way more specific than we are about 125%, but then you can do an estimate, I mean,
Well, I think you're gonna trust an engineer review, because they gotta stamp that.
correct.
I mean,
Like,
I don't know what a zoning administrator, how could they go against something like that?
sure, but I mean,
And with
but it says it in there.
the solar decommissioning is specifically stated we went with the higher, whichever was higher. But we
Yep.
put language in there like
So-
that, they were required to provide 3 and we go with the middle one.
So, and that may get closer back to what Seth was saying about use specific. So, in the solar, we required 2 estimates and we were going with the higher one.
This needs to be revisited.
Correct, yes.
I've been getting a ton of pushback on
Okay.
the different, like, when there's 2, like, whichever is higher, like, I'm getting a lot of pushback from developers on that, because if something comes in way high, right?
And you're stuck with that because that's
You're
what
stuck with
the
that.
ordinance says.
To me, that's the way they're framing that now is, like, eventually it's gonna get challenged if there's a problem.
I mean, you could argue that it's discriminatory
It's
enforcement
arbitrary.
or what,
It
yeah.
could be arbitrary.
Yeah.
So just something that,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll, get back together on that. But I don't think it can stay the way it is.
No. Agreed.
One way or another, like, I think it's important that we start using that provision in the zoning ordinance as a planning commission. But I don't see how we can use it the way it's written now. That's just a no. It's a challenge right away, in my personal opinion, and then obviously it puts Cody in a very difficult spot because he's the one dealing with the applicants, yet he's allowed to make a decision. So that, and I'm not saying you can't make a decision, Cody, but
I'm
like.
not very, like to be able to like, oh, don't get mad at me, it's theirs.
Right.
I'm just a messenger.
You know what I mean? Especially when you're talking, 125% is the cost. You could be talking about significant money.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll circle back to 13 and 14, Seth, after you've had maybe some more time to.
yeah, and then, moving through, changing the words, in 11.03 from evidence to complaint, I think that's fine. And that's also consistent with what else is, previously included in your zoning ordinance.
Okay.
I see the word, like, it says also read the word shall throughout this section, so, shall is pretty straightforward, like, you have to do it, there's really no flexibility. So a lot of times, like, you see may, but let's just see what works in that section.
Okay. Yep.
See, like, another thing too is, like, these are zoning decisions,
Mhm.
right? So if someone disagrees with the zoning decision, they have the right to appeal the zoning board of appeals.
Sure.
So even if if there's a zoning decision made to issue a citation for whatever violation, if they appeal that decision to the ZBA, there's a timeout on that court case. It stops until the ZBA makes a decision.
Okay.
So I guess that's more information. That's okay.
Our thinking was to keep Claudia out of that position.
Right. I don't think that.
And the rest of her team.
I gotta look more into PDs.
Okay. So that was something that I sent the same list to Kyle, and I'm sure that, we can get the explanation. What Seth is reading off of is in our meeting minutes, the list that we attached there. It's the number 12 at the very bottom. The last sentence of the first paragraph in 1201, page 150, regarding subdivisions being considered a PUD. We wanted the clarification as to what constitutes a subdivision, how many houses.
Give me an exact number.
Yeah, and that was per Cody's request because we'd had somebody that was inquiring about that. Now, that project that they were inquiring about was certainly large enough to be considered a PUD. But it brought up an interesting point that again, I mean, if we're not specific as to what the minimum is, where do you draw that line? And you're putting the zoning administrator in the position to do that.
Yeah, even like a 40-acre parcel, if you wanna.
And that, you know, Seth, I mean, we'll definitely take into consideration what your firm has to say on that, but I would think that Kyle will be able to provide us an example of, you know, I'm sure that is probably more of an oversight than anything else. The number just didn't make it in there. Because we changed a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick note on data centers, I see that on the list. Don't use any ordinances for effect. More currently draft ordinances out there. Okay, it's not gonna be ordinance.
Okay.
But I don't know if they're gonna come to Bedford, but I can think of probably 3 or 4 locations that are nearby where they're at least looking around.
Right.
Okay, they're not far from here, but I don't know.
Right.
So,
I guess our concern is that we are aware that is certainly happening. We have the solar now, so that's more power on the grid in this area.
yeah, see, the problem that happened is, so for data centers, well, there's a lot of stuff that's still, like, they use a ton of electricity.
Sure.
Absolute ton. So the one in Saline, I think it's like either 14 or 1500 megawatts. And the amount of electricity that it needs to operate on every year is like the equivalent of what 800,000 homes would use. So Lee Township in Calhoun County has the biggest solar project in the state, 8,000.
Yep.
It's 8,000 acres. That project couldn't power that data center for a year.
Sure.
So to give you an idea of how.
So maybe that's not necessarily a determining factor if you have the solar close by.
No, I mean,
Basically.
they're gonna need some sort of like alternative
Power.
okay, so the way it got explained to me is like they look at the MPSC and they say how much like energy that they think they're gonna need for the year, and then that much gets dedicated for that specific like data center, and then that's how they're trying to parse out like how that impacts, so how that won't impact like local utility loads. I'm not gonna pretend to understand how that is calculated, okay, but that's what I'm being told. The other issue that we have with data centers is, so right now, if it's not listed as a permitted or special land use, it's not allowed. Okay, that's just how it is. That's the case law. So it's not allowed in Bedford, which is fine. And the problem that we're having is that the White House issued an executive order that says that there shall not be like overly burdensome restrictions on on data centers. Okay, and the problem with that executive order is that for exclusionary zoning, a developer has to claim that there's a demonstrated need and that you don't allow that use. So if you have an executive order that says essentially this is a demonstrated need,
It's pretty hard to make that argument.
like, see, that's what's kind of tough about this. But
Right.
but look, I'm aware of any exclusionary zoning claims like right now from data centers. Like a lot of townships statewide are doing the moratoriums, and that's a temporary timeout on something. So what we're saying is there's this new use, or even existing use that we just need to research more and learn more about before we're going to allow it in our township, if we allow it at all.
Right.
So it's usually like it might be a 6-month moratorium. The board could issue extensions, you know, for if you need a zoning ordinance and a police power ordinance, you need 2. If you do one, it's not going to be enforceable. So I don't know if you're at the point where that's something that you think you need, but that's the way to protect yourself from an exclusion. So the difference is like you can't use it as a block, like you actually have to research. You know,
Well,
figure it out.
right. So I mean, you know, just so everybody understands, you know, if you do, if as a township we decided to do a moratorium, that starts the clock, and there are certainly certain things that you have to do during this moratorium to show that you're, you know, gathering the information and, you know, going to get to a decision and so on and so forth. It's not like you just take a pause and that's the end of it.
And just because you do a moratorium, that doesn't require you to adopt an ordinance, like a data center ordinance. Like if you go through the process, and I mean, you'd have to figure out why it might not. And if you can find specific reasons why it's not right for Bedford, you need to articulate that, and that would go up to the board. But that's how, just because you have a moratorium in place doesn't mean that you have to put an ordinance in effect. It just means you need to research it and figure out what you're gonna do.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you advising your clients right now to stay away from the moratorium for that specific reason, or?
Well, I'm just thinking of Calvin County. Like, I know Marshall has one, Sheridan has one. There was one, Fredonia has one that we did. And I can't remember everybody.
Did you do
Sure.
Ross Township? I saw you on TV with a large group. I thought
That
it
was
was
solar.
Probably Richland.
Yeah.
I get to go there.
Richmond.
You look good.
Yeah, so that's,
Yeah.
so,
Okay.
yeah, there are townships that are doing it, you know, again, Gene, when you go up to the board, at the next board meeting, see what, what they think.
Okay.
The way I've been initiating them is I'm asking that the board. So, in the zoning ordinance, and in this one, the board can direct the planning commission to take up an issue.
Mhm.
A zoning ordinance amendment. So what we do is like, we have a fairly comprehensive resolution, which is actually in a good place right now, because we started doing it, a while ago, but then, as you go on, you figure out ways to, to beef it up. But what it does is it explains why you need to have, why the board says we need to have a moratorium. So that's pretty long and it's specific.
Mhm.
And then once that gets to that, if the board passes something like that, then that's what we're using the planning commission to begin, that process. And then you do a moratorium ordinance. Something with moratorium ordinances, it doesn't necessarily have to be specific to data centers. It could be a general moratorium ordinance. That way, whenever there's the next use that comes that we don't know anything about, right? You don't have to amend your zoning ordinance for, okay, data centers, now we need another ordinance for whatever this new use is. Is this a general moratorium ordinance that, what that does is it authorizes the township board to essentially pass a resolution to, maybe even worse, to put a.
Moratorium in place for that.
It's removing it from the planning commission. That way you're done. It's a one and done. So like, you can find where you talked about, where, what the escrow policy would go, and maybe that's where it could fit if that's what you want to do.
Okay.
But and look, if you're gonna do an amendment, if you're gonna do a list of amendments, I could at least show you the language and you can figure out what you want to do with that. And then Gene, too, if your board thinks, then, we would add that in there, and if not, then that's fine too. Whatever the township thinks is best for it.
I mean, I think that is helpful information, especially, I mean, we were, we've had that on the list the whole time, thinking that maybe, your firm and Rob would have one,
Yeah, we've done a lot of them.
ready to go, like the ordinance itself.
Yeah.
But it seems like we're a little far away from one of those being ready.
No, an moratorium ordinance?
No, like an ordinance for data centers.
I mean, like, yes and no.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like when battery came out, when solar came out, right? Like, it's, yeah, like you have a point, like a starting point, but it's something that's also gonna continue
Moving target.
to evolve.
Okay.
So just see what you think it would work. If there would be any recommendation, it would be consider maybe just a general moratorium language. That way you don't have to revisit it at the PC level. And that way it's you're authorizing the ability for the board to implement a moratorium.
Yeah, I guess if you've got the sample language, let's send that over, and then, maybe, at the next board meeting, we could, if I need to be available to answer questions or,
Yeah.
however you would like to do that.
I don't know if we're ready to vote on it, but I think we have to
Okay,
gather opinions. Do we want one?
before we get, okay,
Yeah,
Like, I don't think there's necessarily a rush on it.
okay,
I'm just telling you what.
what the options are.
Okay.
Okay,
I will add real quick while we are talking about data centers. At the conference last week, they said it's pretty easy to guess where they're looking to build data centers. You just run a map of 345 kilovolt lines over the state of Michigan, and if it's along that path, they're probably looking there. Bedford has a small little section of that in the most northeastern section, right at Baseline and North Avenue. It cuts through that field, 345 kilovolts, but the rest of that goes right along our border, and it's in Johnstown over there. That's why they put their substations and everything for the whole solar project. That's why those are there.
They're gonna go near substations that are, gonna tie it to high voltage power line. That's exactly what.
So although it might not be right at Bedford, we might get part of it if they do another multi-township.
Well,
You know, they need hundreds of acres for these things.
there's another reason for that too. Johnstown doesn't have a planning commission.
Yeah, Bear County don't care about Johnstown.
Anyhow,
So, yeah.
okay, all right, well. Certainly good information, Seth. You can take that back and see what you think. I
We'll
mean,
get some opinion.
I think the fact that, you know, I mean, I would probably think that, you know, we would lean towards a moratorium to gain time for information and research, knowing that there is a zoning ordinance available for us to review if we wanted to look at, you know, look at that. So, which is different than when we were talking 3 months ago, you know, there wasn't any at all, you know, so, okay. Anything else, Seth?
No, I don't think so. I mean, those are sort of the biggies that I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
Just let you know, like I saw data centers down there, so I just wanted to let you know, give you the,
Okay.
the update there.
Appreciate that. All right, so we're gonna leave that as, you know, hopefully we'll get everybody's draft language together and we'll have a copy available for everyone to view of the draft language at the next month's meeting. And then once we are squared away on that and we've got everything on the list, I think we'll start getting that notice around, and the goal would be a June public hearing on that. And then that goes to the county for 30 days, and then the board, does the board have to do a first and second read on those? Seth?
Not real ordinance, yeah.
Okay,
The zoning or not zoning yet.
okay,
Two-step process.
all right. All right, next item on the agenda is gonna be open public comment time. That can be on anything you want. We'll open that up at 7:12. All right, seeing none, we'll close that at 7:12. Next item is gonna be planning commission member time. Tony, would you like to start us off?
I don't have anything tonight.
Okay. Trustee McKay?
Like I got a few action items to take back to the board. I think I'm gonna have to put it on the agenda. I think it's gonna have to be on the agenda,
Okay,
at least the idea of having the moratorium anyway. Critical part, the rest could be in the
report.
liaison report.
Okay,
We'll definitely get that on the agenda for next month.
okay. Well, we certainly appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else? Kevin?
Sounds like a busy next couple months
Yes, indeed.
coming up. Long meetings, but much needed meetings.
Shirley? Barb?
No.
Claudia?
I think we had a lot of good information tonight. A little confusing, but informative at the same time.
Okay.
Thank you, Seth.
I would just like to thank everybody for their hard work and whatnot. I would like, it's unfortunate that the gentleman that was here did not stick around. I would like to, I'm sure everyone was a little confused about that gentleman's comments. So I can pass on a little bit of information, as far as that goes. He's, I think, a little confused about the process, and what's going on. He's had an issue of a complaint against his business that is not PC related. And I think he is, confused about who he should be upset with, for lack of a better explanation. He did, I apparently drop off a little complaint today about the planning commission, and some things that he said we weren't doing. Basically, referring to, you know, people's rights and, you know, notice and stuff like that. He's just, you know, very confused about the process, and that's okay. Most residents don't understand, you know, the process of what we're doing. I can tell you that, during this process of the text amendments, we have not done anything that would violate OMA or anything like that. We've been very clear that we're just discussing draft language. There will be a copy of draft language for the public to view before the public hearing, and we will hold the public hearing and there will be public comment. I wish he could have stuck around so that we could maybe clarify that, but maybe he'll watch the video. So, you know,
This Battle Creek Auto Service, where's that?
just down the road here. Yep.
Right up by Green's Tavern.
Said.
Oh, that used to be MO.
He's had an issue with a complainant, I believe, which is not related to the PC and zoning in any way, to my knowledge. So just a little confused there.
Right, I guess I'm still confused as to why he came here instead of to the township board, because.
I don't know. Like I said, I wish he would have stuck around, but
Okay.
you know, he didn't. So I just saw some puzzled looks on your guys' faces, so I thought I would share what I guess know or whatever. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting is May 19th at 6 p.m. at 7:15.